they'll answer when they're finished. Okay? You will also be getting a link in the chat of the Zoom that you will be able to click on after the presentation is over in order to make sure that you get all of the materials from this session. So you don't have to say, am I going to get the slides? Yes, you'll get the slides, only if you fill out the form. Okay? So let's begin.
It's 17 days from September 1st until Rosh Hashanah. That's why
Yeah, I
it's
said that.
17.
I said it. Yeah. Go for it, ladies.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rebecca, and Naty sitting somewhere out there in our virtual world. Our presentation is going to be about Take a Walk on the Wild Side, which is basically connecting with at-risk students. One of the things that a few things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about belonging, establishing positive relationships, lowering stress. The second slide. Lowering stress, which deals with classroom management and etiquette. And then the third topic will be beginnings, starting a new year. Next slide, please. Now, how do we connect? Okay, we can connect on a real level. The part of teaching connected to teacher-student relationships is one of the most underrated aspects. Our first job as teachers is to make sure that we learn about students, about our students, and how we connect with them on a real level, showing them some respect, a lot of respect for them and their culture, and affirming their worthiness to receiving the best possible education. The second is why bother? To see improvements on all levels. A strong student-teacher relationships were associated in both the short and long term with the improvements on practicality on every measure that deals with the students. The research shows that if you have a good positive relationship with your pupils, especially the at-risk, and you're making those connections, you're gonna have higher student academic engagement, attendance is gonna grow, grades are going to improve, and you will have fewer disruptive behaviors and suspensions. Therefore, you won't miss them so much in class because they're gonna be with you. And then at the same time, indirectly, you sort of help to lower that dropout rate. And the last thing, connecting with your students brings joy as opposed to anxiety. There's teachers' relationship with students are the best predictors of how much the experience is joyful versus the anxiety that it creates. Next, please. So remember, guys, when students feel safe and supported, they are truly ready and able to learn. Now, next, belonging. How we're going to establish those relationships. Next. Let's build a community. You build a community within your own classroom, within your own virtual classroom if you don't have that face-to-face experience. Although online students can easily feel isolated behind their computer screens, building a community is not only possible, but it is actually vital. And when pupils feel part of their group, they are more likely to stay engaged in those lessons. And this community that you set up, whether it's physical or whether it's virtual, can provide resources and support when it's needed. It offers important accountability and even exerts some subtle psychological pressures to stay on course. Hey, Sam, are you with me? A community that you establish in your classroom or virtually creates a place to flourish. You can do that via email chains or social media, WhatsApp, or other online spaces where the students can meet. A community should stay engaged in discussions. You are definitely part of it in order to buff out any little problems or any a student getting fresh or disrespectful. But more importantly, that community is designed to promote respect safety, and confidence. Remember, you're the mentor. You're their mentor. You are the mentor of those pupils. And lastly, your community should feel like it's formed from the bottom up, rather than, hey, do as I say. No. Next, please. So how we're going to do that. Okay, next. Okay. Well, the first way is, hello, is it me you're looking for? Okay. First, begin by learning their names. Hello, more frequently, try making phone calls. Send a text message. If that beauty didn't show up to class, whether it's virtual or whether it's physical, reach out, call that child, have somebody in the classroom call that child to see if everything's okay. Secondly, Joan Rivers used to say, can we talk? Well, routines that foster connections are a core of the classroom life. And finding ways for students to experience these at home will go a long way toward easing students' transitions to that home-based learning. So if you do some type of a morning meeting or any type of meeting, it doesn't have to necessarily be morning, maybe your classes are in the afternoon, okay? Reflect on the elements you want to address in your meeting. And also, and what you would like to complete virtually at home. If technology allows, record and share daily video announcements, but we're living in a time right now where this is assumed. We're not supposed to record meetings because students are not supposed to be via, recorded. And how's it going? Okay, as we have from our friends guy here. Routines also, those check-ins, those emojis to match your mood. For example, are you feeling good? Thumbs up, or an emoji that shows thumbs up, okay? Or maybe the student is not feeling well that day. Something happened over the course of the night, or something happened at home, or mom is not there. So he's not going to be so reflective, and he's not going to be so forthcoming coming to class. So his mood that day is going to be not too good, okay? So these check-ins help keep you posted. Keep them quick, keep them simple, okay? Yeah, I've got something to say. Teachers can set up these virtual tables if you're on Zoom or whatever platform you're using virtually, or via breakout rooms. Set up a discussion that threads 4 to 5 students and discuss assignments. Have them talk to each other and ask each other questions. Stay connected. Stay connected any which way. It's important. You want to stay connected. And staying connected means going out of our comfort zone, meaning pick up the phone, meaning having students also to keep that check and balance as well. So that if you can't call because you're in the middle of a sentence, you can send a student a message. Do me a favor, can you call this kid to see where he's at? Okay, we're missing him. As Judy likes to say, and I like to say, nag, nag, nag to your heart's content. And then today I feel like writing assignments. They don't have to be humongously long. They don't have to be 140 words. No, they can just write a little something that reflects and gives them an opportunity, a valuable opportunity for the students to process those mixed emotions that they have inside, that they might be experiencing because their regular routines are not the same, or because their schedules are at upheavals, or they're socially isolated and they're challenged at home and they're all locked up. So I've discovered that sometimes students write things that they would never say in public. That's okay. Keep a journal if it helps. You can keep a virtual journal, you can keep a physical journal. Next. Now, how do we begin? Well, we need to learn a little something about our little darlings. Let's think of a few questions you would learn that you would like to ask to learn more about your students. One way that you can ask questions is you can create a Google form that asks questions about what is your favorite
No,
pet?
no, open it later, please. Later.
Open
What
it
is
now.
your food? What is your pet? What music? What songs? Subjects? But then what do you do with this information that you've gathered? Well, play a little game. Quizlet. Match that student's name to that favorite activity or that favorite meal. You can use Kahoot and trivia questions and guess who? Who's this? There's a lovely young lady in the classroom, long hair, green eyes. She can't stand sushi, but she loves to read the Game of Thrones. Who's that? Boom. Yofi, Sarah, that's the one. Next. Now, as we're getting to know our students, we need to reduce our stress levels, okay? The stress level for the students and the stress level for us. Now, how do we do that? The old-fashioned classroom management. Okay, first step, guys, you need to develop a plan to get that attention, a plan to grab that attention, to have them to come back in. You want them to keep coming back in. You don't want them to say, okay? You want them to come. You want to invite them. You want them to be a part of that. And you want to minimize distractions. So think about a plan in order to get attention and to eliminate those distractions. Now, what do you need to do? Teach procedures. We can't assume that these kids that are coming to us, our pupils, know exactly what's in our heads. They don't know what's in our heads. We have to take time. We have to teach those procedures. Saying it is not enough. You actually have to teach it like you would teach present simple, present progressive, la, 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 la. Okay? We need to take them through that procedure. We need to walk them through that procedure. And how we're going to do that? One, explain that procedure. Tell them exactly what you expect. Exactly. As there won't be any error for misunderstandings. If they know that what you expect, it's not going to be a surprise for them. But if you assume that they know what you expect, and then they do something wrong, about you didn't say that. You never mentioned it. Model if need be. Sometimes students need to see it in order to get it. They need to see it. And not after you explain that procedure, you need to practice it. I want my students to do an online assignment. I want a homework assignment done. Everybody assumes that these kids know how to work with a Google Docs form. They may not. You have some students that don't. So take the time out, like, ladies and gentlemen, I want to teach you how to work on the Google form. I want you to show me, I want to show you how it's done. You open up the form, show them how to get into the link, open up the form, show them what you want them to do. Be very specific. And then you can practice. Practice how to answer a form. Send them one question. How was it? You okay? Just to give them the practice of using a form. Now, many students will probably get it the first time around, but you have a few other students that may not. I mean, when I started this digital world, it took me a long time, a lot of corrections, a lot of nagging Melissa or nagging Adele or Judy, everybody who I can get my fingers on, nagging because I didn't know how to do certain things and I didn't feel comfortable doing them and I didn't know how to do them. So you're going to find students, when you're talking them and teaching them and walking them through these procedures, you're going to find some of them that they don't know, they still don't get it. Maybe you want to set up a private lesson, a 5-minute private lesson, part-time with them, so that they know what to do. That when you give them an assignment, you're not going to say, okay? You want to be diligent and you want to point out what went wrong. By pointing out what went wrong, then we all know, then they know what to expect later on. They know what you want. And then redo your procedures. Ask the students to do the parts that went wrong. Do it again and again. You're training them, and this reinforcement corrects the procedure. Now, the last one, the warning system. Warning systems are tough, okay? Because students will do certain things that can cause distractions, but when you're warning them, you don't want to stay away from your lesson. You don't want something to interrupt that lesson. You just basically want to give them a warning so that they can snap back into this without any consequence. A warning is a warning. A warning is not a punishment. It is not a consequence, but it gives the students a chance to self-correct. Now, now that we've taught them procedures and we practiced and we did a warning system, what now? Yofi. Now we have to execute the plan. How are you going to do this? What am I going to teach, and how am I going to ensure that I can manage these changes? First, you need to develop that right demeanor as a teacher. You are a teacher. You are a mentor. You are not their friend. Okay? As a mentor, you can still care for them. Of course you can be there. Definitely give advice. And you're definitely going to create a huge impact on that child's life, or the children's life, the people's lives. But you're not their friend. You're still a mentor. Next. As a result, don't worry about being liked. But you know what you should focus on? Focus on being respected. Because respect is a two-way street. Okay? You have to give that respect in order to get that respect. And guess what? Everybody earns that respect. And everybody in that classroom is deserving of that respect. You like me? 2 thumbs up. But if you don't like me, that's also okay. But do we need to respect each other? Absolutely. That means you don't get to call anybody any names. And if somebody makes a mistake, mistakes are okay. We learn from those mistakes. But oy vavoy, if somebody says, you didn't say that, that's not the way you say it. No, that's not respect. That we don't do. Okay? So we need to make that mental shift from being liked to actually being respected. And that takes time to build. And you have to demonstrate respect in order for them to give you back that respect. And we take this for granted sometimes. We assume that I'm the adult. You got to respect me. But that's not true. Respect is a two-way street. And if you want to get it, you actually have to give it. Next, please. In all of this, we need to be kind. And we need to be firm, but you need to be kind, okay? Be personable. Hi, good morning, how are you? Is everything okay? Sam, I missed you in yesterday's lesson, okay? Be fun to around. Guys, we're gonna read a story, but I get to act out, and we jump on the tables and we'll do whatever we have to do to get them to work. And it can be fun. And I'm nice, and I'm personable, and I'm great, I'm wonderful, da, 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 da. But at the same time, firm. Yes, I have my high expectations, and I am not going to lower the bar for anybody because I know you can do it. I know that you got it within you. I know that. And if issues arise in the classroom, deal with them. Don't say, no, about these tiny little issues. Eventually become these humongous issues. And when they get out of control, you lose control. And then you're not a pushover. You're firm. You say what you say. Sarah wants to argue in class. No, Sarah, I respect you too much to want to argue in class. It's not my day for arguing. We can talk about it at the end of the lesson if you'd like. Sende mora. Lana ra. Okay. Lana ra. Please. Next. So now that we've talked about these things, let's develop strong relationships. All along with developing these strong relationships, these relationships that we're developing in our class with our pupils helps them to stay safe, helps them to feel confident. And if they feel safe and they feel confident, guess what, guys? You don't have to struggle with that camera. They actually stay on there for you. At first, it starts with you, but then later, little by little, actually look forward to keeping that camera on without being coaxed and without being threatened, because in some schools, there are some policies that you have to have it. If not, they take off whatever kind of points. So in order to have a good learning environment, I can't reiterate enough that you need to develop those strong relationships, those strong connections with your pupils. If not, things are gonna fall apart. They're not gonna come. They're not gonna wanna do this. You're gonna struggle to get those tasks completed. And we don't want that. So how do you build a strong relationship? Okay, next. Okay, you have something what's called an emotional bank account. Like our personal bank accounts, what you put in allows you to what you can take out. Well, we make deposits with our pupils, okay? We invest in them. So that way we can get some withdrawals. We care for them. We empathize for them. We show interest in them. And what are our withdrawals? They know our expectations. They know what the discipline should be like, and they execute that correct behavior. But it takes a lot of work on our part. It doesn't come naturally. We need to work at it. Again, it may mean that if you need to work on that, it means you need to come out of your comfort zone. It's not what makes me feel comfortable. I want my students to understand what the expectations are. And I'm not gonna lower that bar. But you know what? I'm gonna do it in a respectable way, in a way that I care, that they know that I care, that they know they see my empathy, and I'm interested. It's worth that withdrawal. Okay. Next. So how do I invest? Well, there is a strategy, okay? It's called 2x10 strategy. And you see this, sometimes you have in your classes a child that may not listen, okay? Focused on doing his own thing. Why should I listen, Mom? Well, you know, maybe it's worth it for this kid, as well as many others in that class, to take out 2 minutes a day, 10 days. Call them up, hi, or talk to them in the hallway, on Toranu, from the car to the school, I don't know, wherever. Take 2 minutes for 10 days straight and talk to them. Why? Because you know what you're showing them? I see you. You are important. You are worth it. The second strategy is a one-sentence intervention. Notice something that that student can do or that you liked about that student. Hey, Anna, that was a great remark you said in class. I think I'm going to use that. Do you mind? I noticed you. I saw you. Okay. Next. Guys, all these procedures, they all take time. It's not fast. It doesn't get done overnight. It's a lot of work, a lot of trials and tribulations, sometimes crying, okay? But it's a lot of planning, but you don't get discouraged. If it doesn't happen right away, it'll happen, but you need to be consistent. Keep at it. Your efforts will not be lost in vain. And part of being consistent is not only letting the kids know what your expectations are and not lowering the bar, but also dealing with whatever those tiny little issues are so that they don't become humongous ones. Say something. Don't put it off. I don't mean interrupt the lesson, but don't put it off. Definitely worth talking about. Have the students correct and redo. I don't like the way this is done. This is not the way we do it on our class. This is the way it should be done in our class. You don't necessarily have to correct and punish. Not everything warrants a punishment. Of course not. Use your warning system. Let them know. I see you. I don't like it. Please self-correct. You address them. Don't ignore those issues. And always, in staying consistent, always hold your students to high standards. If you miss something, I won't let you miss it the next time. No. Okay? Now, lastly, to build, by having all these segments in place, you build confidence. Kids want to keep coming back. It's safe for me. I feel good there. And if a student feels safe and he feels confident and he feels good in there, you're connecting. And if you're connecting, they're coming. There's no way they're not going to come. So practice your plan, write your plan, practice your plan, think of ways, and you can do this with your staff. Think of ways, devise ways in which students may not respond appropriately, and together design some type of a warning system. So in the event that it happens, you'll be ready. If you're ready, they're ready. If you're wishy-washy, you've lost them, gone. But if you're ready, if you've got your plan and it's in your head and it's physically there and you know what to do when X, Y, and Z occurs, you know what? You've got it. You've established your connections. And you know, once you establish them, it doesn't mean that you don't work at them. You're constantly working at those connections. You're constantly getting them to come. You're constantly getting them to focus, everything. Oh, with at-risk students, they're a lot of work, but they're worth the work. They're so worth the work. And I promise you that if you invest, they too will invest. Now, Naty, I think you're up.
Yep. Can we go?
Oh, no, sorry. I forgot. I'm sorry. Etiquette. One more. I didn't realize it. All right. This etiquette is the big buzzword. Etiquette and etiquette. Take your pick. Which one shall it be? Okay. Etiquette, by definition, is a code of behavior that influences our expectations. Okay. For your social behavior, for the student behavior that you want. If it's face-to-face, you know, you're going to focus on the arrival in class, being present, body and mind, okay? Being prepared, the cell phone issue, how you're going to address it, and the attentiveness. But there's a new kind of etiquette, which is virtual. And we've all heard it. It's a new buzzword, okay, on virtual learning, netiquette. And it's with these birth of these online lessons, they're designing rules that promotes, again, safety, okay? Safety, confidence, a place where I belong. It's what drives us to a new subject, okay? If a student doesn't feel safe and he doesn't feel secure and he doesn't feel confident, He's never going to turn on that camera. And isn't it lovely to want to teach your class with everybody's beautiful faces on there, as opposed to somebody's emoji or somebody's letter, okay? So what I want to say is, I was privileged to have taken a course that Melissa and Adele ran over the course of the summer, and it was called the 10 by 10 course. And can you click on etiquette?
Etiquette?
Yeah. They put together, all the students in the class put together these virtual lessons on how to promote etiquette in the classroom. Okay, you can click on them, you can run through them. There's there's a plethora of ideas that that you can click on that allows you to do many different things to introduce etiquette in your classroom. Okay, we can get out of that. And then whatever you're talking about, this is a lesson plan on etiquette. Okay, with some activities that you could use in your classroom. It's a place to start. It's not the end of all. However, you know, we're living in such a virtual world that it doesn't stop here. YouTube videos, Google searches, there's tons and tons of materials that that gives us information on etiquette and what you want to do and procedures. Guys, I can't stress enough that if you don't develop your plan, you don't practice and you don't teach and practice, you don't view yourself as the mentor as opposed to the friend, you don't address and enforce respect. If you have any of these elements missing, everything gets thrown off. Remember, the goal is to connect with our kids. And in connecting, we create that wonderful, safe, confident space for them. It begins with you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was just eloquent and beautiful. And I think I have a whole lot of new mantras that I need to put on my mirror to look at in the morning. Before we go on to Naty, I'd like to take just a few minutes for you to answer some questions that were asked, because I don't want people to forget about it by the time Naty's done. The first one is, you spoke about procedures that you need to take time to teach. Could you give some examples of essential procedures that you teach in your class?
All right. One of the things that I spend a lot of time focusing, okay, there's two types of procedures. There's the one that allows you to talk about how to do something, how to fill in this homework assignment. That's a procedure in itself. You know, many of us sometimes when we're pressured for time, we forget we just throw them the assignment and we don't bother to explain to them. And then when we don't get what we want, we're upset. You didn't explain. That's one way to explain a procedure. You tell them, I open up the task, go through what you want with them, tell them where you want them to send the assignment. Okay, if it's virtual, if it's physical, whatever it is. Another type of procedure is the ones that deal like, I started to say I deal with a lot of respect. That's one of my procedures in the classroom that I work with. What is it? How do we work with it? How do we enforce it? How do we give it? And we talk about what's respect. We talk about what respect looks like for one another. How to respect. We might role play a scenario. I throw them a scenario and get two students, and then we talk about what was not right and what it should be. Because I believe, and there's a lot of research that supports, if you have respect, you start to get your classroom management in place. Once your classroom management is in place, then now you can start teaching. Okay, but before that teaching, you have everybody there. Everybody's connected. Everybody's got something in common. Everybody knows what to expect. Tova, it doesn't have to be in Hebrew.
Wait,
Melissa,
Melissa, wait 1 second. a lot of you said this in the chat, and Melissa and Rebecca says this all the time, and I just want to take away this urban legend that everyone has. At-risk students, you should just know, they don't like surprises. They don't even like good surprises. A surprise means they're being evicted. A surprise means that their parents are leaving. Someone is leaving and they brought them a cake with a balloon, okay? At-risk students do not have good surprises. All right, and that has to reflect in our teaching of at-risk students, okay? They have to know exactly what you're asking them. You need to ask the same things. Go over the things that you're ever gonna ask them to do. Read, write, match, play, say. They have to know those words. They have to be on a board. They have to be on their screen. They have to be somewhere. Don't give them a new worksheet because you're bored of making the old worksheets. They wanna know the old worksheet. They know what to do with that. It's safe. It's not a surprise. Do not surprise them. Okay, if you use materials that you are making yourself, they always have the same instructions. These are students that need this consistency and they need the structure and they need it. They don't get bored with it. They need it. All right, and you are there to give them that safe place. And that safe place is, I'm not going to trip you up. I'm going to give you what you know, okay? And I'm going to make it safe for you to make a mistake and to take a risk, okay? It's really important.
Yehuda from Krav Maga, who also teaches Krav Maga, said he sees that also in his business. To be successful, you need to be consistent. The last question that I'm going to ask you, actually there are two questions. One question is, can you give an example of a warning plan? And the other is struggling with rules at the start of the year, and do you recommend a way to set those rules at the beginning of the year?
All right, let's start with the warning system. A warning system, okay. I could write, some people write their names on the boards of the students as a visual warning to let them know you're starting to overstep your boundaries, okay? And then they put a check mark number 1, check mark number 2. And then by check mark number 3, then they know that they have detention. Now, I don't send detention. I don't put my detainees with the principal at the principal's office so they can do something. No. Detention is with me, okay? That's one thing that I do. Another thing that I do as part of the warning, since I'm a little bit on the hyper side and I don't sit around, I go to the table and I tap, 1 tap. And that little movement, not invading their space, but at the corner of their table. So they have theirs and I have mine. And I might do 2 taps. By the second tap, they know that they have to wait, especially they know that it's going to be in between the breaks. I love 2-hour classes, only because they know that after the 2-hour lesson, then they have a break, so that they know that if they do something, then they're going to have to forfeit their break by 1, 2, 3 minutes, whatever it takes. You do it once, you do it twice. By the 3rd time, they know, you know what, with this one, I know I can't play with. And in the beginning of the school year, I usually don't go outside because I'm trying to reinforce the behaviors that I'm expecting in my class. It's not just to talk about them, but you need to demonstrate to them what will happen, or at least let them know. They need to be informed. The students need to know that when they go into your class, these are the expectations, and if I don't do A, B, and C, then they know what's going to happen. So that once they know that, there's no deviation. No one can ever say, I didn't know. I just didn't know. Did I answer that question?
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. Listen, sweetie, we're a little bit short on time because Naty needs to start. So there's going to be a community for at-risk students with all of Rebecca's new schools. So she'll bring her brilliance to you in other places. But right now, I want everyone to start and learn about how to begin the year. And Naty, go, Naty.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
okay,
honey.
just want to say something. whatever Rebecca said is so, so important. And we hear it over and over again from Judy, from everybody. And I even saw in the chat, it's so important to be consistent, but do not forget something. First impressions, beginnings are so important. Think about how you feel, how difficult it is to change the first impression. It looks a little bit strange. How much a person has to invest to change your mind? It's normal, it's human. So we want as teachers to invest in our beginnings. Beginnings are important. The 17 days that Judy has been talking about over and over again, guys, between us, it's not even 17 days. It's going to be 6 days, 10 days, no more. And it's so important to start with the right way. Can you put the, please, Adele, can you put the PPT on? I don't see the PPT.
Sorry.
Thank you, dear.
Stop
Thank you.
sharing.
Thank you. So, talking about beginnings, please remember, with all due respect for the English language, and I think it's important, remember that English is a means to get to know your students on a social and emotional level. For example, you have to learn your students, not about your students, you learn your students on an individual level, as a class. And please, can you please open the individually? Thank you. Can you please play the little thing, writing prompts? Yes, thank you.
The summer is over and you are starting a new school year. You might be excited or nervous, maybe even a little scared. And when you walk into the classroom, you might feel a little lost, surrounded by a sea of desks. But you are more than a number, you are a person. So what do you want your teacher to know about you as a person? You could write about your favorite hobbies and interests. Or maybe you want to explain your favorite food, your favorite TV show, your favorite music, or your favorite book. Maybe you want to share your favorite vacation spot. Or maybe you want your teacher to know about your story. You could write about your family or your culture. You could write about your beliefs. You could share what makes you happy and what makes you sad, what you love and what breaks your heart. Or maybe you want to explain something about who you are as a student. What's your favorite subject? How do you learn best? What are your geeky interests that you love doing in your free time? So with that in mind, what are 5 things you want your teacher to know about you? Make a list.
Okay. Thank you. And down, yeah, it's a Google form. Down you have the 1, 2, 3, 4 that the kids can fill in. And so you can use the template, by the way, if you see the bottom on the top. Yes, thank you, Adele. And yes, and you have another template for the class thing. But please don't give this. Just remember, you use this information to get to know your students. Your students are important. One more thing we should do, I think, in the beginning of the year, we should play games with them, okay? I'm not going to open it up because it's like we don't have much time left. And one more thing, guys, which is very, very, very important, is do not forget to move. For many, 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 many reasons, attention span, everybody needs a break. Even me, I've been here since the beginning of the day. I had to, stand up and, you know what, let's try something really silly, like go with your thumbs up, you can stand up or sit down, thumbs down, close your hands, cross them, and embrace yourself. Do it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. There are numbers of brain breaks you can use, but please do it. Do it with your class. The kids need a break. They cannot be expected to sit or pay attention for a full hour. Okay, Adele, can we move on to the next?
I'm playing around.
Thank you. Guys, as we said, we want to know their likes and their dislikes and their hobbies. The connection is critical. It is critical. So let's not forget, we talked about the beginning. It's the beginning of the new school year. It's a new you, new student. You might have the same students the second year, but it's still a new thing. It's after summer break for so many kids. Even on normal summer, after a whole 2 months, kids are eager to go back to school. They really want, enough, okay? One day I slept, the other day, whatever. They want to go back to study. And we're all excited and all enthusiastic, and we really want to change the world in the beginning of the year, and we want to use this good energy. And for some of our kids, schools are the only secured place they have. So let's get pumped. Thank you. And again, guys, beginning counts, okay? There are lots of ways we can encourage our students to get to know each other, or and make them feel a part of the classroom, part of the community. As you noticed, there are a few places where you have underlined words, and it means that you have some links there and ideas. Can you move on, please? Okay. Guys, connections matter. We don't just teach standards, curriculum, or content. We teach children, and building connections with and among our students is the most critical piece to learning. So when we are ready, when they're actually ready and open, we can teach other things. They feel heard and valued, and not only ready, but emotionally and socially open to learn. Can we go on? Thank you, Adele. So guys, ready? And I'm sure, guys, you can do this. Can we move to the next video, please? This is a little present and Rebecca and I decided to give you when you get the PPT. And then we're gonna move to a video.
Do you want me to click on the box?
No, next slide, please.
It's a surprise.
We all want better things, don't we? We all want more friends, more stuff, more money, more security, more travel, more enjoyment. If you do the same thing tomorrow that you did today, you're stuck. And it doesn't change. And it grows a little at a time. And you get a taste of success. But it's never fast enough. It never excites you. And when it does, it's a good month, or a good 2 months, or a good 3 months, but it doesn't provide a trajectory that creates success. So the first thing I want you to think about today is I want you to wake up tomorrow and do something different. And understand if you do the same damn thing, you're stuck. Just because you did it a certain way yesterday, there's no reason to do it that way today.
So,
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And
don't be afraid to try something different, because success begins with you in connecting with those pupils.
absolutely.
You are the ones to make a difference in their lives.
And you can make a change, as you do every day.
Oh my God, thank you. That was so amazing. There are a bunch of questions for people. And I'm going to say a little word. So if you have any questions for how to begin and whatever,